Yo, what's up, my crazies? Welcome back to my vlog. Today we're going to be talking about the top 10 things that you need to know about social media. So let's get started. Number 10, the definition of social media. You got to know what it is if we're going to talk about it all day, right? So let's define it. Social medias are the forms of electronic communication through which users create online communities to share information, ideas, personal messages, and other content. That's right, you can use different technology like texting, YouTube, or instant messaging to get your message across a number of different channels like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you know all of them. Alright, number 9, the difference between social media and mass media. In my last video, we talked about what mass media was. So you got newspapers, you got books, you got internet. All of these are mass media, but what makes social media different from that? Well, social media is always going to be digital. And you do not need to be a professional communicator to use social media. If you remember, in our mass media definition, we talked about how the term professional communicator is used a lot. And that's really just arbitrary now, but especially with social media. You also need to know that social media never goes away. It is going to be online forever. It's not like a newspaper or a book that you can throw in the trash, put in the shredder, burn. It just stays there forever. So you need to be a little bit careful with that. And also it enhances the echo chamber effect. We talked about that with mass media. And it does that because typically we're only viewing things from our friends and family and things that they decide to share. Alright, number 8, the history of social media. Do I want to spend a lot of time on this? No way. I'm not a history teacher, but I do want you to know that Facebook started in 2003, and that's really when social media got started. Alright, number 7, the positive effects of social media. Well, the first one of these is that everybody has a voice. And you may say, well, that might not be positive, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But you know, it's a good way to connect with friends and family. It's a good way to get your opinion out there. And it really allows individuals who might have previously been silenced to have a voice. We've seen this in the media over the last 5-10 years as social media has really been growing. Alright, number 6, let's look at some negative effects of social media. Your book really highlights these, so I want to look at those. The first one is that experts have begun to say that really statistics, things like that, are taking a backseat to emotion because of social media. And really there's no public repercussions for things said on social media. We know that that's kind of changing a little bit now. We see a lot of celebrities' tweets being resurfaced and they're getting criticized for that. But it's a lot less prevalent than it used to be with mass media. And I think that's changing. I think we're going to see that changes quite a bit. And while positively we talked about how it serves to connect people, it can also divide people. If people are posting political things or very strong divisive issues. It may be that people didn't know that they felt that way, and so it serves to divide people. We talked about how things never really go away, and your electronic footprint can be kind of regrettable. And also there have been a lot of studies done on teens and adolescents that have grown up with social media. They are physically safer than previous generations. And that's a good thing. So that goes under number 7, a positive effect. They also have expanded and intensified friendship groups, but it has also led to poor sleep habits and higher rates of depression and anxiety. So, you have to kind of weigh those things in the balance when we're talking about social media. Alright, number 5 is the social information processing theory. Basically, this is saying that people who are involved in social media communication claim that online communication has become more powerful and important than face-to-face communication. And that a lot of that is due to the hyper-personal perspective, which is this feeling of closeness and effectiveness participants say that they experience online. So this is why podcasts are so popular. Because you feel like you're really getting to know this celebrity, this host, whoever it is. Same thing with social media. We feel much closer and much more involved in the lives of these people that we follow on social media. Also, you need to know that there's this thing called warranting, which is the perceived legitimacy and validity of information about another person that we see online. This is another reason why we have this hyper-personal perspective, because we believe that everything anyone posts on social media is true, which, may actually not be the case. And that's because senders have the ability to present themselves in the best way possible, so they can make themselves look the most positive way. And that's referred to as affinity seeking. So when you are seeking to be the best possible, it sort of skews this type of warranting. And most of how we perceive people online via social media is just through the attributions that we see them post. So it can be a very skewed view. So that's the social information processing theory. All right, number 4 is synchronous versus asynchronous responsiveness. So synchronous responses mean that we're engaging together in real time. So like FaceTime, where we can go back and forth and it's just like a normal conversation. That's synchronous response happening at the same time. Then we've got asynchronous response, which is engaging whenever each member has the time. So like text messages, Facebook messaging, things like that. You send something and then you have to wait quite a while before the next person replies. That's asynchronous response. All right, let's talk about number 2, which is number 3 in our countdown is media literacy. There are 4 different types of literacy that we think about in terms of media. The first one is linguistic literacy. This is word-centric messages. They require vocabulary, grammar, reading, composing. This is what we typically think of when we're reading books, newspapers, things like that. That's linguistic literacy. Then we've got visual literacy. This is making sense of visual images, and we read the meanings through that. So these are pictures, even moving pictures that we see, whatever is visual. Then we've got one step further is film literacy. So because of our inundation with movies and film in our culture, we have created this whole new language that is made up of techniques of filmmaking. So this is like close-ups, flashbacks, dissolves, use of different colors. All of these things mean different things to us because of our conversant ability of film literacy. We understand all these things because we see it all the time. And then we've got internet literacy. So this is the one that's really going to apply to social media, internet literacy. This is the non-linear aspect of surfing the web, gathering information, and it's kind of made our brain functions a little more shallow and fragmentary because we can be looking at something and then we see something over here and we just go explore it. That leads us down a rabbit hole and we're kind of jumping all over the place. And so that's kind of rewired our brain a little bit, but that's internet literacy, understanding that we have access to any information we want at any time because of the internet. All right, number 2 is rules of social media and questions we should be asking about them. So here's 4 questions that we need to ask ourselves while we are thinking about posting on social media. The first one is, do you have a good reason for doing what you propose to do? So think about the reasonable person standard and ask yourself, would most reasonable people agree that you have justification for doing what you plan to do online? That's question number 2. Question number 3, how effective have you been in your communication? You've been honest, clear, thoughtful. You need to be all 3 of those things in your social media posts. And then finally, number 4, how will your actions affect others? You really need to think about that while you post on social media. Alright, and now we're down to number 1 of the top 10 things that you need to know about social media. Number 1 is that this is the best YouTube channel on all social media. So click like, share, subscribe to this channel for more videos like